Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I wanted to make a video because I was watching a video from Ken Anderson, who a lot of you know as formerly known as Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy. So yeah, I was watching a video from Mr. Kennedy, or Mr. Ken Anderson. Um, and he was talking about meeting wrestlers, and I thought it was an interesting topic. Now, this is probably a topic I've covered before on the channel. I think I did a video about I met Chris Benoit. I think I did a video at some point about that in the past. You can go back and watch that. It's somewhere in my video history. But I wanted to talk about it because it's relevant today because Ken Anderson has brought it up. And that's how wrestlers will sometimes sign autographs. And it's not just wrestlers, but it's also like celebrities overall. When you're meeting a wrestler, you tend to spend a lot of time waiting in line to meet that wrestler. And as Ken Anderson said, you have sort of an expectation of what you're going to do. You're going to meet them, maybe try to get a photo, and maybe they sign something, you know? Or if it's a signing, then they sign something and maybe you get a photo. But Ken Anderson had a really good point, and he was talking about, you know, if someone's standing in line for you, it's not a bad gig to write your name on a piece of paper. It's not a bad gig, and that's the topic of his video. I will put it in the description so you can go and watch Ken Anderson's video. But it had some interesting things that I wanted to comment on. So a lot of you know I've met a lot of wrestlers throughout the years. I think I've talked about it. As I said, I've met Benoit back in the day. But this is one of my most prized possessions in my whole collection. It is a signed SmackDown vs. Raw cover. Let me get that really in there so you can see all the signatures. That is signed by a lot of different wrestlers. And you can see obviously one up the top there. I mean, that's pretty evident who that one is. That's very well evident who that one is. Rey Mysterio, you know. Oh no, that's Ashley. No, that's Ashley Mazzaro. Rey Mysterio's over here, 619, you know, obviously the 619. Yeah, Ashley Mazzaro was a sweetheart. I know there was a photo taken of me with Ashley, but I never got the photographer's name, so whoever did the photography gig when Ashley Mazzaro and Ric Flair did an autograph signing at Sydney's Moore Park in 2005, if you're out there, let me know. I never got a photo of that with Ashley Mazzaro, and rest in peace, Ashley. Like, lots of bad stuff with that one about what happened with her. Paul London's been doing a lot of videos around that, so if you want to know what happened with Ashley, London, Rene Dupree, all those guys talk about it pretty often. But yeah, Ashley Mazzaro. So yeah, Ashley Mazzaro, absolute sweetheart. She really made me feel comfortable. I was a teenager at this time. I mean, 2005. How old would I have been? I would have been in my teenage years or in high school. And you know, Ashley Mazzaro made me feel very comfortable. You know, said, "Come give me a hug. We'll do a photo together." And it was really cool because you know the idea of how security were moving people through the I think it was Kennedy at Moore Park. They were just moving people through, like, get more people because lots of people wanted to meet Flair. So, you know, move them on, move them on, move them on, keep going, don't stop, don't stop. And yeah, obviously, I think, where's Flair on here? I'll see if I can find Ric Flair. I think Ric Flair's right there. I think that's Flair, if I'm not mistaken. That could be Flair right there. Yeah, it looks like there's a big R, so I'm going to say that's Ric Flair. And yeah, obviously with that experience, that was a really cool experience. I mean, Flair, obviously a lot of people wanted to meet Flair, so you had to be really quick. He signed his name. Quickly, I turned to my sister, she got the photo. And then, yeah, it's not a very big resolution photo, but it's still one of my most prized photos. But for the experience, I remember fondly, like, I met Flair and Ashley Mazzaro beside him. Now, a little asterisk on that, that same day, I had the option of meeting another wrestler. The other wrestler I could have met was John Cena. And this is 2005, like late 2005, when he is in that reign, when he's WWE champion. So, John Cena was doing signings at Blacktown on that day. Blacktown, Westfield, West Point. And I had the option of either choosing John Cena, who was my favorite wrestler at the time, or Ric Flair and Ashley Mazzaro. Now, it seems like an odd decision of why would you choose Ric Flair over John Cena when he's at the height of that WWE champion? Why would you choose Ric Flair over the WWE champion? My mentality at the time, and I stand by it. And look, Cena ended up getting 17 anyways, but it's Flair. You had to choose Flair. As a wrestling fan, you have to choose Flair. I mean, you're choosing Flair every day, you know? So, and that's not discounting John Cena at all. That is not discounting John Cena. I'm just saying, as a wrestling fan, for what Flair meant to the business, you have to choose Flair. But, I had the option of meeting John Cena, and I chose not to meet John Cena, and I chose Flair. And the consolation prize for that, in a lot of ways, was getting to have a little chat with Ashley Mazzaro, who I still remember fondly now to this day. Like, she made me feel comfortable. Like, she was very cool. And this is more around what Ken Anderson was saying. Like, when you have an experience, people remember fondly that experience of meeting. I had a similar experience with Christy Hemme, who is down here, Christy Hemme. Now, I know the internet says a lot of things about Christy Hemme these days, about, all the stuff that happened in WWE and whether she was one of the people who were, like, part of that. I'm not going to go into it. We've read the documents. Everyone's read the documents. But I will talk Christy Hemme I met in 2005 before WrestleMania Revenge Tour, my first wrestling tour I went to. And Christy Hemme, I don't know if I said Christy Hemme before, but yeah, Christy Hemme was someone who made me feel very comfortable, like similar. Because right next to her was the then new World Heavyweight Champion, Dave Batista. And I think Batista is right there. Batista was just signing autographs quickly, and I know now that is to get through more people. There was a big lineup. A lot of people wanted to meet the then new World Heavyweight Champion. And I met Batista right after WrestleMania 21. And so that was pretty cool. But for me, the thing I remember is getting moved on very quickly because Batista was trying to sign as many autographs as possible. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the job. And plus, they had a wrestling tour that night. They had to be at Homebush Olympic Park by a certain time. So, he wanted to get through as many as possible. I understand that. But my thing was that Christy Hemme made me feel very comfortable as well. Christy Hemme really said, "Hey, so is this like your first time? Cool, I'm your first wrestler you're meeting. That's cool." And like, I just remember how excited she got, because you have to keep in mind, Christy Hemme at this time had, I think, just won the Diva Search. So she won it late in 2024, 2004. Sorry, I'm all mixed up with my dates here. But yeah, 2004, she had just won the Diva Search. So, she was still fresh. She was still like getting that routine of being a WWE superstar and a WWE diva and a WWE women's wrestler. So, I could see the excitement in her eyes to be like, "Oh, cool, I'm the first wrestler you've met. Like, this is freaking awesome." And she was so excited, and I could feel her excitement. Whereas, Dave Batista had been around for a while at the time. He was in Evolution, and also he's the new World Heavyweight Champion. He's probably saying, "Okay, I'm focusing on my match tonight. I need to go over this spot with," because he was wrestling that night. He was wrestling at Homebush. In the main event of that show, it was Triple H and Ric Flair versus Dave Batista and Chris Benoit. Yeah, so Ric Flair, Triple H, Batista and Chris Benoit. So, tag match, and that's a pretty cool one to be my first wrestling tour. That's the main event. I also met Chris Benoit, as I mentioned at the start of this video. His signature is right there, Chris Benoit. And let's get that glare. So that's Benoit's signature right above Batista's. That's Benoit. And Benoit was an interesting one. When I was next to Ray, Ray was making me feel very comfortable. Like, Ray understands how to engage with fans, and that's something that's really cool. With Chris, this would have been before Eddie when I met him, I believe. Oh no, hold on. It might have been after Eddie, because he was the United States champion, and I think it was 2006 I met Benoit. So I didn't notice anything at the time. Like, obviously, you don't know CTE, what's going on below in someone's personal life. You don't know what's going on. You don't know any of that. But to me, Benoit seemed very calm, very, I don't know, he didn't put off any vibes of anything. He just seemed cool. He just seemed like, oh, he's a wrestler. Seemed pretty introverted. That's pretty okay. Like, nothing wrong with that. But Benoit was an interesting one, because I was like, okay, Chris Benoit, the United States champion, and plus this is the guy, when I started watching wrestling, he had just won the world title at WrestleMania 20. And yes, I was watching in late 2003, but WrestleMania 20 was the first WrestleMania I ordered on pay-per-view on main event. So Benoit was the world champion at that pay-per-view. Him and Eddie at the end of that pay-per-view holding up the belts, and they're both world champions. Benoit was an interesting one to look back on now, because, we know what happened. We all know 2007. I know people debate, was it this or was it that? It was CTE. I mean, we all know now pretty evidently what it was, because we see it over and over again. Even Mick Foley has said he has trouble remembering stuff. So we've seen trends of brain damage across wrestling and across sports as a whole. So I have closure with Benoit. I know what happened with Benoit. I don't speculate on it. And yes, there was the whole Wikipedia thing. I know there's the conspiracy theories who say, oh, it was posted to Wikipedia 10 hours before it happened. The way trolls worked at the time is you try to predict if something doesn't happen, if something happens at a show, trolls will try to guess, okay, it's because of this or it's because of that. Now, the thing with the Wikipedia entry was it was very specific, and that's why people speculate on that. But Benoit, yeah, Benoit for me, I believe it was CTE, and we just have to call it what it is. But this is what I'm saying. You kind of see this trend of trying to remember wrestlers as you meet them. And yes, you watch them on TV every week. Yes, you can see them all the time. As Ken Anderson said, like, that experience of meeting a wrestler is very different to watching them on TV. Christy Hemme, for example, meeting the first wrestler I ever met, was so excited and being like, oh, wow, like, this is awesome. Like, we got to do a photo. I think I got a photo with Christy Hemme. I don't remember exactly who took it, but might have been one of the Channel 7 crews. I don't know. But I know there was a camera guy there filming stuff. But yeah, Christy Hemme, absolute angel when I first met her. She was absolutely awesome. First wrestler I ever met. Right next to her was Dave Bautista. I understand he was signing autographs to get through quantity. He wanted to get that name out there as much as possible, because when you have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people waiting in a line, you're trying to get to every one of them, and you're just going like, okay, quick, 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 and you don't really have time to socialize. Whereas if people were trying to get through and get interviews or whatever, then you're kind of having that time to spend a bit of extra time to talk to the other person there. And that's why I got to talk to Christy Hemme. That's why I got to talk to Ashley Mazzaro. And other people in the back here, I've also met Shelton Benjamin. Absolute freaking awesome person. I have to say that. That's Shelton. And Gene Snitsky down here. I also have to say Gene Snitsky's an absolute gem of a person. Like, when I met him, he made me feel very comfortable. Like, I don't know what it is, but Gene Snitsky, I was just like, this guy gets it. Like, he's down to earth like the rest of us. Like, I just get Snitsky. I also understand Shelton Benjamin. Like, this is one of the premier athletes in wrestling at the time. I think this was 07. Yeah, so I've met them. That's one of the prized possessions of my collection right there, that SmackDown vs. Raw cover where it's signed by just about everyone. I've also met Tennille Dashwood, Emma, Evolution from WWE. I don't know if a lot of you remember her, but Emma, I think the cover's over here. I've got a lot of things with Emma, because Emma was actually really cool. And she signed a lot of things for me. She signed books, and I mean, this one probably has a cover. I don't know where the actual things are. It's probably in here. Let me get it out. We're going to get it out because it's a video, and we're talking about autograph signing, so we're going to see the autograph. But I know Emma signed a lot of things for me. And there goes the light. Because I'm using a battery pack. There we go. Now we're back. Oh, there it is. There it is. Perfect. So Emma signed one for me and my dad. But that's one that she gave us because it was part of the contest. If you were successful, you got to meet him. And I think Fox 8 were running it. So she signed one for me. She signed my name to it, which was pretty cool. Emma was absolute angel. I also got her to do a That's Gold and got it on the Footy Show, which is a show in Australia, the NRL Footy Show. There was 2 footy shows.
That's all we could do. We could go, let's go. Okay. Let's go.
And then I also got her to sign my WrestleMania program, and she was like, do you want me to sign this? Like, so I saw what Ken Anderson was talking about, really. Like, do you really want me to sign this? Like, I don't even know if I'm on that show. Like, and I was just like, it's not about whether you're on the show. It's about what it represents. It's a WrestleMania. You're the Australian wrestler in WWE at this time. I want you on the cover of the program or on the cover of the magazine or whatever this is. Oh, there's a cool poster in there. The Dead Man Rises. Is that the... That's the actual one from when he, the streak ended. I didn't know I had that. But, yeah, I got Emma to sign that. So, Tennille Dashwood is another absolute angel. I talked to her for a little bit. Pretty awesome. There was only about 100 people in this one because it was a very limited event. And she was also pretty cool. She was like, oh, yeah, so, like, tell me a bit about yourself. And I was like, oh, you know, this and that. And then I was like, and then I got her to do the footy show thing because I had to. But you could see the security guard was getting a bit like, we know what you're doing. Like, you want to get this on the footy show. Like, the security guard was getting a bit annoyed, but he was also like, yeah, whatever. But this is the thing. When you meet wrestlers, it does become a grounding experience of like, these people are human. Yes, they want to sign as many as possible. They want to get through as many signatures as possible, but also, as Ken Anderson was saying, it's not a bad gig to sign your name. Like, it's not a bad gig to get paid to sit there and sign your name. And Ken Anderson was saying, he would try to make an experience out of it. He would try to say, like, oh, if I was writing Mr. Kennedy, I'd say Mr. Kennedy, ... Kennedy, exclamation marks. And that's pretty cool. I still want to meet Mr. Anderson, Mr. Ken Kennedy, or formerly known as Ken Kennedy. I still want to meet him at some point when he comes to Australia. I don't know when wrestling tours come to Australia that often. I mean, WWE has been avoiding the East Coast for the past couple of years. AEW is coming back in, I think, February. I don't know if I'm going to AEW because there's too many wrestlers not on the card at the moment. But I'll see. And I want to end on this one because this is one of the prime examples of how cool and experienced things can be. Now, this final experience was they were moving a lot of people through fast because this was in the middle of East Gardens, Westfield, which is a big shopping centre at Pagewood in New South Wales. So I got to meet 3 wrestlers at this signing, and it's one of the coolest signings that I've probably ever been to. I'll get the photos out, and I will put them on screen as well. So we'll start off with, obviously, John Moxley. Obviously, Dean Ambrose at the time. I could put my finger in front of the camera, so I tried to fold that over to not show it. But you can see me meeting Dean Ambrose right there. Pretty cool guy. You could see he was a bit like, whatever. He was pretty cool. Like, he was just chill about it. One of the nicest people I've ever met, Seth Rollins. And this was 2004. So this was right as the Shield, I think the Shield debuted in 2012. So this was right as they were going into WrestleMania 30, I think, or maybe just after WrestleMania 30. But yeah, Seth Rollins, absolute angel of a person. I absolutely love Seth Rollins. But for me, Seth Rollins is someone who is the modern day equivalent of Shawn Michaels. And I know that's going to get a lot of slack from a lot of you, but hear me out. He's the guy you put in rivalries when you want a 5-star match. He's the guy who he's one of the best workers in the industry. And like, you watched him work Cody with that arm injury, and you watched all this stuff with him and CM Punk, even though we were led to believe that they didn't like each other that much. But professionalism, he still worked him, did it correctly. There was no backstage heat from what we've heard from the gossip. But there was one other person at the signing, and I think you can tell who it is. Because I wear his shirts all the time. I'm not wearing it today, but the third person? Is there a third man? Is he the third man? He is the third man. Tribal Chief. This was when he was the big dog, in the Shield, Roman Reigns. There he is signing the shirt. And they all tried to sign the shirt the best they could. I mean, it was kind of quick. I won this shirt as well the same day, so I was going to get SmackDown vs. Raw signed with them as well. I was going to get that signed on the back or something. But then I won the shirt, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the shirt signed. I'm going to get the shirt signed instead, because it's a cool little thing. So there's Dean Ambrose, how he used to sign on. There's Dean Ambrose. Yeah, I'm muttering words. Seth Rollins, he just did it the best way he could because it's a shirt. The shirt kept moving around. And the big RR there is Roman Reigns. So let's see if we can get Roman Reigns. So yeah, Roman Reigns right there. Let's see if we can get that clear off. I think it's like that. Yeah, Roman Reigns. So, that's pretty cool as well. So, meeting the Shield was one of the great things. I also saw Kane at a signing, but I didn't actually meet him. I didn't have time to go up and meet him because the line was just so long. It was at Mount Druitt Kmart in, I think, 2008. I did see him there. I didn't actually go up and meet him or say anything. Now he's the mayor of Knox County, and would be cool if he ever came back to Australia. I would love to meet Kane and actually just shake his hand, maybe get a photo with him. But, Kane is one of those long-time wrestlers who I've seen up close. I've had the opportunity to meet him, but I didn't. But I was, like, within arm's reach of him, which is close enough for me. I don't have to get something signed or get a photo just to be like, yeah, I saw Kane up close. And so, yeah, on the topic of Mr. Ken Anderson, Ken Kennedy, hopefully he has one more run in WWE. I just want to see him have one more run, but I think he's retired. And also, I don't know if you'll be able to work with Triple H. So he's obviously had a lot of issues over the years and spoke very vocally of Triple H. Triple H is in control of the company now. I'd still like to see him have one more run in WWE. You know, Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson is one of those people who should have won the WWE title, but he didn't have that chance. He had Money in the Bank at one point. You know, there's a lot of issues with this. But also, it's not a bad club for Ken Anderson to be in, Ken Kennedy. He won it in TNA. I mean, he did win a world title in TNA. But as we're talking about the WWE as its own thing, he did not win a WWE World Heavyweight title. And he should have. But also, it's not a bad club to be in. I mean, there's people who did not hold the WWE title. I mean, Dusty Rhodes, you know, another great wrestler. Obviously, Piper never won the WWE World title. I mean, you're in the same club as Roddy Piper. So, you know, not a bad club to be in by not winning the world title, but also, you know, we all remember Mr. Ken Kennedy. His world title achievement, I believe, or equivalent to that sort of moment, could be the WrestleMania moment where he won Money in the Bank. That could be his moment. But it's an unfortunate one where I consider, and I think a lot of fans remember him for this, the final match of Eddie Guerrero. I mean, a lot of people talk about world titles. They win multiple world titles, you know. They win, they win, they win. They lose, they lose, they lose world titles. They win it so much, they lose it so much. But also, yeah, Eddie Guerrero, Ken Anderson was his final match, Ken Kennedy. And yes, I do appreciate Ken Anderson's video. It got me 20 minutes to talk about on here, which, you know, I'm always looking for things I can talk about. But thanks, Mr. Anderson. I want to meet you sometime when you come to Australia. We will try to make it work. And yeah, it's Happy New Year. Why am I putting on this hat? It's a wrestling video, so I should put on the Fred Durst hat. That's it. Jump down in the comments. Who have you met? Let me know in the comments who you've met, the experience. It doesn't even have to be a wrestler. It can be anyone. Like he talked about, Mr. Anderson talked about Hugh Jackman and stuff. So tell me who you met. Happy New Year, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.